people that exercise just 2 times a week for 30 minutes reduce their risk of heart attacks by like 47%. I'm a big believer as far as medications or exercise, do the smallest amount that you need to do to get the desired result. I've had people that we call them the witness protection program clients, okay? These people, women and men, they look unrecognizable sometimes. And when that happens, take away success and money, they completely change on the way they look and feel. God, I'm like a proud father when that happens, no matter how old they are.
Today, Mike and I will be discussing working out. When should I be doing it? How long should I be doing it? What should I actually be doing? Mike's gonna walk us through all of it. Let's get right to it. So I just wanted to do a quick video for people. I know that a lot of times people use a new year to start a new workout routine, whether they've been working out and they wanted to change it up, or maybe they haven't been working out at all and they wanted to start fresh. I'm hoping you can give us just a couple guidelines on ways to start off and a good place to start in terms of, what to do when, how many days, how many minutes, how many this, how many that.
When you look at exercise, we have moderated intensity, low intensity, and then we have balls to the wall, crazy intensity, right? It seems that most human beings will fare well if they're on the low end of 150 minutes per week and on the high end of 300. Now, how do you shake that out? The more intense the workouts get, the less minutes you need. And if you try to go balls to the wall, 300 minutes.
You're not going to do 300 minutes of a sprint, but you can do 300 minutes of a walk or a light jog, or you can do,
Correct.
So, okay.
And there's A-type people out there that will either be working out or just starting out and they're frustrated, they want fast results, whatever, and they'll say, hey, I'm going to go balls to the wall 300 minutes. And that is a sure way to burn out, get injured, lower your hormones.
Well, there's a point where if you work out too hard, the soreness can be debilitating. I mean, you can't move, especially for people who haven't done anything in a long time. It is really difficult to get back on the horse if you've put yourself in a position where you're so sore that you feel like you got hit by a truck.
Right, and in regard to building muscle, right, for strength training, when you are sore, that is an indication that the muscle is not ready to be trained again. So if you're sore and you're not in what's called a newbie, meaning you had never exercised before in your life, and you're sore for days and days and days and days, you've probably overdone it. But let's say you haven't overdone it and you listen to our exercise prescriptions that we're going to lay out, then maybe your recovery is on the slower side, or maybe your nutrition is not adequate. And if you're still sore, that muscle is not ready to be trained again. And a lot of times
Could even be injured.
Well, it could be injured, but it could just be broken down, because basically when you exercise with weights, you get a thing called acute microtraumas. And basically you're putting these little microscopic tears in the muscle. You go sleep, eat nutrition, protein. It does what's called tissue turnover, and it regenerates, and then you break it down again. So you break it down, recover, restore, build up. Okay, and for the ladies out there, I don't mean build it up like that, but just the muscle to recover, because we all want our muscles to grow. And I know that's a scary word for some people, but most people know they want to build muscle at this point. So if the muscle is still sore, it's still in that recovery process. And to break it down before it's repaired is pretty much stupid.
Right, and this is why a lot of people do like legs one day, and then you do arms and back and whatever it is,
and upper, lower, push, pull,
and that way you have a few days in between.
Yes. So if something is very sore, you've either overdone it, you're new to the game, or it's just. I have a slow recovery rate. I train really hard, but it takes me days and days, sometimes 7 days, to train another muscle again. I've always been a slow recoverer.
Okay.
That's the way it is.
All right.
So you want to make sure that you're on that low end at about $150 a week to 300. And how you shake that up is really up to what you enjoy and your schedule. Now, back 10 years ago, I would have told you it had to be all done in one shot. Meaning, if you're going to do 30 minutes of aerobics on Monday, I would say, no, Nick, you got to do it all in 30 minutes. Now, for most people, it's probably the best to do it that way. But if you say, hey, Mike, I don't have 30 minutes, 15 in the morning, 15 minutes at night. And there's studies that show it's at the end of the day, it all it pretty much shakes out to be the same.
Oh, that's great, because it is hard to carve out time during the day, especially when you're new to working out, because you're not used to working that into your daily schedule. But 15 minutes in the morning and 15 minutes at night, I think most people can find that time.
Yeah, and you could even do 10, 10, 10. 10-minute walk in the morning, 10 at lunch, and 10 at night. Now, most people aren't going to like it that way, especially if they get sweaty, because then they have to go back to work and stuff like that. But it all counts.
Okay. So, all right. So now, just in terms of cardio versus strength training, what should people be doing? Is it 2 days of cardio, 2 days of strength training, 1 day of this, 3 days of that? What's the general rule of a place to start with cardio versus strength training?
Right. So for the average person, and again, that we can do very nuanced videos for different goals, but one doesn't trump the other. And on the internet, YouTube, whatever you're looking at, there'll be people that are pro strength training, and they'll say cardio is a waste of time. Mm-hmm. And then you have your people that are born to run and do yoga, and they think that strength training makes you muscle bound. And I would say that they're both wrong. Okay, they're both very important. Here's the thing though, if you strength train in a fast way or a fast style, and you do circuit training and you do low rest periods, provided that you've gotten the okay by your doctor to do this, mm-hmm. and you can handle it, you can get a strength training effect and a cardiovascular effect. So you get the cardio and the strength training, provided you're somebody that's conditioned and is able to do that and recover from that type of training.
Okay. Now, what about cardio?
Okay, so the same is not true for cardio. Cardiovascular, for the most part, takes care of cardiovascular training, heart health, and fat burning. Mm-hmm. You don't really build much muscle at all with cardiovascular, unless you're doing, if anybody's familiar with like an assault bike with the fan where you're really just going.
Okay.
And
what about an elliptical? Is that kind of in the same world?
You can, if you crank up the intensity. Okay. So if you do what's called the interval training, where mm-hmm. there's bouts of recovery and all out assault or output, mm-hmm. especially on something that's got a lot of resistance. Could you build a little bit mm-hmm. of muscle, especially if you're deconditioned? Sure, but over time that's going to cap out, and you're not going to build a ton of muscle. You're going to have to do some strength training. That being said, for the average person that needs to lose weight or want to build a little muscle, look good in a suit or a dress or a bikini, I like about a mix, 50-50. So let's say somebody is really gung-ho and they say, I want to change my life, I'm disgusted, I got a bad blood work, and I want to do 6 days a week. I'd say 3 days of strength training, 3 days of cardio. Okay, but if you're somebody who says, hey man, Nick, Mike, relax, I'm gonna start off with 2 days, then I would say, hey, do 2 full body workouts or an upper day and a lower day, and try to move your butt and go to the gym or set up your home in a way that you can work in a methodical, fast way, that you're getting a cardiovascular workout and you get a strength training workout 2 times a week. And there's been studies, Nick, actually showing that people that exercise just 2 times a week for 30 minutes reduce their risk of heart attacks by like 47%. So sometimes people will say, I might as well do nothing because I can only exercise for 30 minutes 2 times a week. You can really make some huge gains or inroads into body fat reduction mm-hmm. with just 2. Now, let's be clear, Nick. They gotta be balls to the wall 30 minutes if you're only
getting in an hour each week. You gotta go hard for that hour. That's a sprint.
Yes, and space it out. Don't do it like Monday and Tuesday. Do it like Monday and Thursday or Wednesday and a Saturday. Give your body time to recover.
And maybe that is a good place for people to start. Maybe if you're starting small, you do 2 days a week for a month, 2 months, 3 months.
Yes.
And then you say, wow, I'm feeling good. I lost 1 or 2 pounds a week as I was doing this. Yeah. Maybe I should add a 3rd day in.
Yeah. I'm a big believer, believe it or not, as crazy as I am and as driven as I am, I'm a big believer as far as medications or exercise, do the smallest amount that you need to do to get the desired result. Because believe it or not, exercise is a stress.
Yeah.
It's a positive stress. You get what's called a hormetic effect. So there's a little bit of a beat down, but then your body recovers, it gets stronger, bigger muscles, more energy, better cardiovascular output. But in the short term, it does break you down a bit. So let's say somebody has a goal, this year, 2025, I'm gonna lose 30 pounds and I wanna build 5 pounds of muscle. If you can do that 2 or 3 times a week and get blood work back from your doctor that is A-OK, blood pressure is great, you look good in a bathing suit, you have tons of energy, you sleep well, your sex drive, why the hell would you exercise 6 days a week when you don't need to? Save that for a time in your life where you do need more.
Yeah.
And because as we get older, it does become harder. And there's going to be people watching this video that are in their 20s and 30s, or people that are older and they're fast responders. So I am a advocate that life is short and we want to spend that time with our businesses and our family and our friends. So the smallest amount of exercise to get the desired result. And if you're stalled and you're not losing weight, or your blood pressure is still elevated, or your cholesterol and your lipids are still elevated, add a day, add 5 minutes here and there, and get to the point where you're at that sweet spot. Now you're there, and then you do your maintenance.
Now let me ask you this. There is a feeling of intimidation that people will feel when they go to a gym for the first time.
Yeah.
I remember this feeling.
Yeah.
You go into the locker room, there's some dude with a out walking around in there, you didn't want to see that. Then you get out onto the floor, everyone looks like you, they're jacked, they know what exactly they're doing, you don't know what the machines do, you don't know what any of the weights do, you don't want to get in anyone's way, you're just not sure how to work yourself into the world that you just walked into. How do people navigate walking into this new situation and just feeling out of place?
If you're somebody that feels the way Nick just described, I got great news for you. No one cares about you. No one cares about you. That is a story, and it's a real story. And there's people, thank God for me, that people that have hired me just because they wanted to come to my studio because they didn't want to go to that environment.
Yep.
And it's made me I would say a third of my business has come from those people. And now I can let the cat out of the bag. No one cares about you because a lot of people in gyms, especially now with social media and taking videos of themselves, no one's paying attention to you. Now, if you're a beautiful girl and you're walking by and you gotta say, or you're a guy that looks like he's got, a refrigerator of muscle, people may take notice and get inspiration by you. Mm-hmm. But people in gyms, and there's a lot of heads in gyms. Guys are mostly the problem. Girls are usually pretty cool. But a lot of nice people go to gyms, and a lot of times people will come over, even if you're not asking, they'll help you.
Well, I was just going to ask, is there an etiquette? Because if you walk over to a machine and you're new and you're not exactly sure what you should be doing, is it okay to ask somebody nearby if they're not in the middle of their reps?
Yeah.
Hey, can you give me 2 seconds, show me what I'm doing here?
Sure. If somebody looks like they're open to it, ask for help. And a lot of people in gyms are pretty cool, and for the people that aren't cool and self-absorbed and just total assholes or bitches or whatever it is, they're not paying attention to you. So this nervous feeling, this anxiety that you speak about that millions of people are, it can end today if they're watching that video because
it's all in your head.
It's all in your head. No one cares. They're either self-absorbed or they're really nice and they're just happy to help. And it might even make them feel good. They might be in a job where they don't feel important. And now you're coming over and you're saying, hey man, you look great. Can you just help me? I love the way you look. Can you just show me? It's going to make their day.
Yeah.
So anybody that
and if they are being critical of you, or if they are being a jerk, they're losers and they don't deserve 2 minutes of your time.
It's a huge thing, and people will not exercise just because of that.
The intimidation factor.
Yeah, and it's crazy. It's a thing. It's a total made up thing.
Yep. Yeah. Well, and of course, in January, when gyms are at their peak, that can be the most anxiety raising time that you have there, because there's just so many people. You're surrounded. Every elliptical's taken. Every all the machines are being used, and you gotta like fight your way to get in there to do it. So it's tough.
Yeah, and again, I'm going to address, if you're watching this video and you're thinking about starting exercising, just know what Nick said is the truth. This is not the way it's going to be. If you walk in January 1st and you're like, oh my God, this is why I don't want to go to gyms. This is nuts. Just hang in for 30 days. That gym will be a lot less busy.
Does it make more sense than to do a month of stuff at home? Do your January workouts, do a yoga video off YouTube, do your walking, do some like body weight exercises. Like you can do, and correct me if I'm wrong, you can be doing lunges and push-ups and sit-ups, and you can get a good workout.
Oh my God, yes.
Without any weights.
Look at
all you need is enough room to lay down.
Yeah, but if you're somebody, and there are a lot of people that can't get motivated in their own home, they may work from home or something, they need to get out of the house.
Yeah.
That's the thing. If they stay home, and ever since COVID, a lot of people are working from home, they set up offices in their house, and it's the getting out of the house that will get them. Just be cool with the fact and relax that in another 30 days from now, it's not going to be what you're talking about, Nick, where there's not a treadmill and an elliptical machine and there's, people all over the place. This is just the people that are going to burn out, the people that aren't listening to this video.
Can you just name a couple things that people can try for cardio and a couple things that people can try in terms of weight training? Specifically, like a yoga or a running or what are some cardio options for people who are ready to go a little beyond just walking?
Yeah. So we'll get into strength training because more and more studies are coming out that it's a must.
Okay.
And back when we were younger and even in our 20s, it was like for people that wanted to get jacked and stuff.
Right.
Now we know there is just so many benefits to strength training, from diabetes control to heart disease to bone density for women.
Yeah.
It's endless. There's no one, unless they live under a rock from like 50 years ago, that is not advocating that everybody does some form of strength training, even if it's exercise tubing. So they need to put that in. But as far as cardio, I'm a fan of low impact type of movements. I'm sorry if I'm offending anybody. I am not a fan of running. Okay.
Running is tough on the body.
It's pounding.
Some people can do it for long periods of time, but it's tough on your knees. It's like it's jarring.
Yes, and most people that run at some point have to give it up. And like think about the people that you see in your neighborhood running. You do see that one guy that's like 75 and he looks like he's falling to pieces and he's like running with a limp and shit.
Mostly it's younger people.
So my whole thing, and I've always been this way as a trainer, even when I was in my young 20s and I was dumb as a box of rocks, and I'm 52 almost and I'm still dumb as a box of rocks, but I'm a little bit smarter. My whole thing is, I don't care how old you are, if you have experience, no experience, don't entertain exercises that you have to give up. Don't even start them now. Unless you have to run for a sport, long distance running is going to chew up your body and it's going to end to surgeries, problems, and especially in the lower extremities.
Okay, so give us 3 low impact cardio routine or cardio exercises.
You can do sprinting, because that's running and then walking. And if you have a soft treadmill or uphill is a lot more forgiving to the joints.
Okay.
So if you have a hill in your area or a grassy area, that's good. An elliptical machine, stationary bike is pretty inexpensive that you can get for your home, or you could use it in a gym, or an outdoor bike. Walking is free. It's something that most people can do. And depending on the weather, and now a lot of people be like, oh, walking's not intense enough. Walking, if you do it long enough, is actually a great fat burning workout, and it's not taxing on the body like some other activities
We've talked about this before.
Yes.
I said once I got my dog, I started walking so much more than I was before, and it is a real sneaky way to work in some more cardio throughout the week, because you got to take that dog out to poop.
Yeah. Yeah, right? Yeah, but any of that boxing, boxing you have to watch because there's a lot of impact. So, maybe go to your therapy for your anger, but when you hit that bag, maybe just nice and light and shadow boxing.
Sure.
Anything that's I don't care how the client or the consumer of this video gets their heart rate up. The key is to get the heart rate up, provided you have the okay from your doctor, and keep it elevated. Now, it can fluctuate up and down, and we'll do another video of percentages and stuff like that, but the key is to get the heart rate up and sustain it for as short as 10 minutes and all the way up to 45 minutes to an hour.
Listen, I've taken my son to some arcades, and there are people who go do Dance Dance Revolution, these games where you're like jumping and dancing on the game.
I don't.
And it's a game.
Okay.
You kind of hold on to a railing,
okay,
and there's a foot pad on the floor, and you're following on the screen the movements that they're telling you to do.
Okay.
I saw older people at this arcade where it was mostly younger people, and I'm watching them. They're there for a workout.
Really?
They were doing it, yes, and they were sweaty. They were going for it, and they kind of were competing against each other and enjoying it, and I was all for it. I mean, I didn't want to play the game personally, but I was very happy to see that they were using technology in a way that provided them with a cardio workout.
I tell Mrs. Lynch all the time, I'm like, we need to have more sex, because when we have sex,
you're burning calories.
You're burning calories, heart rate's up, I'm excited, she looks great, Mrs. Lynch, and she laughs at me, but I'm actually not being facetious. Actually, sex is a form, provided you're not a two-pump trunk.
So you want to get to that 30-minute mark.
That's what I'm saying, you got to get those reps in. I'm like,
okay.
I always say, babe, you don't want me to die of heart disease, do you? She's like, oh, babe. So yeah, anything that gets that heart rate up, and then I know we're kind of kidding, having fun with this, but long and short, Nick, whether we're having sex or doing the elliptical, walking, your heart doesn't know the difference. It just knows that heart rate gets elevated and it's sustained for a period of time.
Okay. Now, strength training.
Yeah.
With weights, without weights, something else I'm not thinking of. What can we do there?
Your body doesn't know the weights either. So sometimes a lot of dudes get caught up into trying to push heavy weights. Your body doesn't know the difference between a 15-pound dumbbell and a 30-pound dumbbell. Now, you'll have people in the fitness industry that say, you got to keep on getting new PRs, which is, personal record, or, you got to keep on getting stronger with every workout. That is so stupid, because there's going to be a level where everybody plateaus at, because if we all got stronger with each passing workout, we'd all be bench pressing like 5,000 pounds. So there's always a ceiling, right?
Yeah.
And there's going to be days that you have it, and there's going to be days that you feel like shit, you didn't sleep well, you lost money in the stock market, whatever it is, so your body doesn't really know weights or exercise tubing or your own body weight. It knows what's called time under tension. Okay, so when you start a set, let's say a bicep curl, it knows when you start it and when that set ends with what I call mechanical failure, okay? So let's say I'm doing a curl, and now we've all done, anybody who's exercising, and then you get to the point you're like, "Ugh." Once the bar stops to move, a lot of people will do is they'll, the set is over. Now all you're doing is trashing your muscles, setting yourself up for injury, and actually doing what I call junk repetitions.
Because you're not gaining anything from
and
that.
you're just overstressing the body. That's where you're gonna get injured. So generally speaking, you want a set to last probably, if you're doing short sets for pure strength, which is not most people that are watching this video, you're gonna want sets to last like 15 upward to 60 seconds. Now, if you go over that, it doesn't mean that it's not a benefit, but it just means that the results may be not as good as if the load was a little bit more challenging. So in regards to how that person can achieve that, you can use exercise machines that are in gyms, you can use free weights, you can use exercise tubing, and you can use your own body weight in some settings, especially if somebody's really deconditioned or never strength trained before. It's funny, guys are pretty stupid. They'll come in and they want to bench press, Women are always got their shit together, but men, they're like, what are we gonna lift? And I'll make them do a push-up, and they can only do 2 push-ups. I'm like, wait, you want to bench press, but you can't do a push-up? You can't push your own body weight, meathead, but you want to bench press. And that's why you see guys and they're like, yo, I used to lift, bro, but my shoulders, because they're lifting all these weights, but you ask them to do a push-up, they can't even do it. So your body, just like cardio, your body doesn't know what the resistance is. You could be lifting a tree branch, and as long as that tree branch gets you tired in 60 seconds, it's turning over muscle tissue, and you're going to see a result from it.
Okay, great.
So that's you have your strength training, you have your cardiovascular, Nick, and those are going to be, in my opinion, those are going to be those two most important pillars, provided your diet and your sleep is equated for. And then everything else, and please, yoga people and Pilates people and Zumba, don't get upset at me, but I've been changing or helping, guiding change in people for 30 years. Those things, golf, tennis, they're all good, especially if you enjoy them, but they're not gonna make the visual change that cardiovascular and strength training. They are, in my humble opinion, please don't get mad, I'm not pooping on anybody here, but I'm just here to arm people with the best bang for their buck. They're great additions.
But I will say, if you enjoy Zumba, if you enjoy yoga, if you enjoy golf, and you start doing cardio and strength training, you're going to be better at that sport, right? Your friends who you golf with are not going to believe how much better you got at golfing because you've been doing strength training, because you've been doing cardio, right or wrong.
Yep, and there's no one, I challenge, and I don't say this arrogantly, I challenge anybody to challenge me on this topic and no one will win. Whether you're talking about a musician or an actress or an actor or Tiger Woods or Michael Jordan or any athlete, they all strength train to get better at whatever they're doing or look better. No one does strength training and then starts to play golf to get better at strength training. Strength training is the cornerstone to everything. So whatever you're doing, whatever endeavor, even a guy that plays pool and takes people's money playing pool, he'll even get better at that pool by doing a bench press or a push press or something like that. Strength training is something that everybody can use universally to get better at and look better at what they do. And there's no other modality fitness that is so universal like that, if that makes sense.
All right.
Yeah, and again, all those other things provided, because some of it is what you enjoy, but sometimes people will do those other things and they're like, yeah, I really just don't love my body. And there's a reason for it, because it's not turning over the muscle tissue, and the demand is not enough to make a meaningful change. And you can still continue to do that for the rest of your life, provided it's safe and you enjoy it. But if you really want to have great blood pressure, cholesterol, tons of energy, and build a really impressive physique, whether you're a male or a female, strength training, cardio, proper diet, sleep, boom, those are the 4 pillars.
All right, so if people have listened to this, now they know it's obviously super important to get strength training in, cardio.
Yeah.
It's a new year, it's a new you. We all know that New Year's resolutions don't always work, but now is the time. If you haven't been doing it, start now. So any last words for people?
Yeah, I'm an advocate. If you look at exercise as not something that's entertainment, because that's a thing, right? You can get somebody in shape. There's trainers that get people in shape, and that's not impressive to me, Nick. What's impressive is staying in shape, right? And look at it. If you need the New Year's calendar to push you in that direction, okay, great. But just look at it as something this is something I need to do if I want to live a long, healthy, energetic life where I'm got a ton of confidence. And just look at it as like brushing your teeth, and just start off slow, and use some of the basic guidelines provided, like, we talked about, get a check with your doctor and stuff like that, and just, do it slow but steady. And when they get in shape, most people never give up. It's when they do radical shit and radical diets and try to go from no minutes to 300.
They go from 0 to
minutes.
60 and then they crash.
Yes. Look, Nick, I've had people that we call them the witness protection program clients, okay? They come in, and we'll do a story about one, which is phenomenal. It's a hilarious story. But these people, women and men, they look unrecognizable sometimes. And when that happens, take away success and money, they completely change on the way they look and feel, and not in a narcissistic
Confidence.
Oh my God. And in these 30 years, when that happens, and when I see it, God, I'm like a proud father when that happens, no matter how old they are. No one, Nick, and I will retire, I will say it right now, I will retire if anybody ever walks in, man or woman, 30, 50, 80, and says, you know, Mike, I've been thinking. I look way too good, I got too much energy, I got way too much confidence, and this muscle, it's a pain in the ass. No one ever says that. Once they're bitten by the bug of fitness, they never give it up as long as they do it right. It's locked and loaded for the rest of their life if they do it appropriately. So if you do these things appropriately, you never give them up. You won't. So, and that's what we want for people.
Yeah.
We want people to be successful and stay in shape, not get in shape. And that's what a lot of people do with New Year's resolutions. They get in shape, they get on a diet, they lose weight, but they don't maintain it. And that's not what we're interested in.
2025 is all about staying in shape.
Yeah, man.
All right. Well, Mike, thank you very much. And thank you
Nick.
for tuning in this time. 2025, you're going to stay in shape. Have a great day.
That's right. Listen to Nick, 2025, it's your year, and we'll see you in the next video. Please like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification so you don't miss any videos in the future.